Zoo, and for today's edition of Tiny But Mighty Virtual Wild Encounters, I've brought with me Dudley, the blue-tongued skink. So my program today is going to last 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to talk all about Dudley, and I will be able to answer any questions that you guys have. So as I'm talking, feel free to comment them on the video so that we can get to them. And if you know of anybody who joins us partway through, this video will stay on Facebook, so you can go back and watch anything that maybe you want to hear a second time, or just to see how cute Dudley is. So Dudley here is a blue-tongued skink, and we're talking this week all about animals that are tiny but mighty. So as you can see, Dudley is a pretty little guy, but there is a reason for that. He is only about a year and a half. So right now he is about 200 grams. And as long as you can see, he's about a foot long with his tail. But when he's full grown, these guys can live up to 20 years in human care. He's going to be closer to 2 feet long. So he's a pretty little guy because he's still pretty young and still growing. But there's a lot of things about him that do make him mighty. One of those is his defense mechanism. So as you guys probably can see that he's sticking out, he has that blue tongue. And now if Dudley were out in the wild, that blue tongue helps to keep him safe. So blue-tongued skinks, when they're out in Australia, where they were originally found, if a predator were to come by, like a dingo or a bird of prey or something that wanted to make a snack out of him, what Dudley would do is, as you can see, he has this very long body. He's got pretty short legs that might be kind of hard to see. He has a triangle-shaped head, and it's pretty clear that he's a reptile. And if he were startled by something, he would open his mouth super wide, show off that bright blue tongue, and he would hiss. So Dudley and other blue-tongued skinks are actually pretending to be another kind of animal. And if you guess that that animal is a snake, then you are correct. So blue-tongued skinks, they have that blue tongue, scientists think, to mimic a very venomous snake called the death adder that's also found in Australia. So, although these guys will stay relatively tiny for a lizard, they are very mighty in that defense mechanism because they look like a very venomous snake that no other animal is probably going to want to mess with. So they're able to keep themselves nice and safe when they're out in the wild. And that blue tongue is also helpful for him to be able to smell. So he's sticking out his tongue because this place that we're in isn't somewhere that he goes every day. There's lots of new smells and new stuff to take in. So he's sticking out that tongue to give you guys a very good look at it, and also to be able to smell. Another thing that makes Dudley tiny but mighty is what he likes to eat. So out in the wild, blue-tongued skinks are omnivores. We like to call them omnivores because they eat a little bit of everything. So plants like fruits and vegetables, but also bugs. So to those bugs that Dudley likes to eat so much, he is definitely very mighty, even though he is a little guy. So what I brought today are some mealworms for him to snack on while he's hanging out with us if he feels like coming after him to get a little snack. As you can see, Dudley is a very good hunter. He's very good at going after his mealworms and finding them. And the things that these guys like to eat are what makes them so important for us. So these guys are really great at pest control. So all of the bugs that they like to eat down in Australia, bugs have their purpose. They do really important jobs for us too. But too much of anything is going to probably cause problems. So we're glad that we have blue-tongued skinks and other lizards all over the world around so that they can control those pest populations and keep those numbers of bugs controlled so that we don't have too many of them. So as I said, to these bugs, then Dudley is definitely very mighty and very big, very formidable, even though he is a very tiny guy to us. And the last thing that I'm going to talk about that makes Dudley tiny but mighty is his brain and his impact and what he does here at the zoo. So Dudley is an ambassador animal, and we like to do training with all of our animals here at the Memphis Zoo, especially our ambassador animals, because they come out of their enclosures to come meet people or to come do things like this Facebook Live. So Dudley came out here. What he did is I'm working on teaching him how he can say, yes, I would like to come out to do a program. So what I did was I have a little station, a little piece of carpet that I only put in front of Dudley when we're possibly going to go somewhere. So I put that in his enclosure. He stepped on it, and that's his signal to me that he would like to go somewhere. So he got a nice mealworm for stepping on that carpet. He's getting more for coming out here and doing such a good job helping me teach you guys all about blue-tongued skinks. And him stepping on that carpet meant that he was saying he's ready to go. He's ready to come meet you guys. But if he had decided that maybe today he didn't really feel like coming out, that's okay. He would have been fine to just hang out and maybe we try again later. So he is very smart. He is also target trained, so I can hold out a stick that has a little ball on the end, and he will know to walk towards it, and he gets his mealworms or his crickets, or he also likes to eat tiny mice. So these guys can also eat mice and things other than bugs, which also makes them important for controlling those kinds of pests that can be sometimes problematic. And then also Dudley has a very mighty impact as an ambassador animal. So he is a little guy, but he has a lot of personality, and he comes out and helps us teach people all about animals. So maybe today you learned something that you didn't know about blue-tongued skinks, or about lizards, or about training at zoos. And so Dudley does a really great job with helping me to do that. So I'm very happy that I get to work with him here at the Memphis Zoo and teach you guys all about him. So, as I said, animals like Dudley, they help us out a lot. And another thing that we can do for them is we can have a really big impact on tiny animals. So these guys, they're really great for controlling pests. Like we said, they're very important in the environment where they live. And one thing that we can do is we can make sure that we're doing a lot of research if we are thinking about getting a pet. So these guys, they are considered least concern as far as being endangered. So there are plenty of them out in the wild, but they can't be taken out of the wild to be kept as pets. So one thing that we can do to have a big impact on tiny animals is make sure we're doing a lot of research before we get any kind of pet, whether that's a blue-tongued skink, another kind of reptile, or any other kind of animal that we might want to have in our homes. Because, as I was talking about with Dudley, just because he's tiny right now doesn't mean he's going to stay tiny forever. He is going to grow to be about 2 feet long, and he's going to possibly live for up to 20 years. And being tiny doesn't necessarily mean easy to care for. Since he's a reptile, he needs lots of special things like a heat source. He needs to have his special diet, like those worms that I was pulling out, and he needs a lot of special things to be able to have a long, happy, healthy life. So if we can have a big impact on tiny animals by doing lots and lots of research before we get any kind of pet. So that's all I have to talk about with Dudley, the blue-tongued skink here. So I'm happy to take any questions that we have. And if you joined us partway through and there's anything that you feel like you might have missed, this video will be on Facebook afterwards for you to go back and catch up.
Awesome. All right. Well, we want to shout out to Colin because he sent us 150 stars.
Thank you so much, Colin.
Aliana, would you be able to tell people what stars are?
So stars on Facebook are a way that you can donate to the Memphis Zoo. So since we are closed right now, but we still are here, as you can see, taking care of all of our animals and doing some programs for you guys. We have stars that you can purchase through Facebook to donate. And we also have our emergency animal relief fund that you can donate to if you are able to and interested. It really helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate it.
Awesome. And Alexandra says she's super happy to see you both back again. So thank you, Alexandra, for watching us multiple times.
Thank you, Alexandra. We're happy to be back too. We're happy that everybody gets to see Dudley and learn all about him again.
And she asks, are skinks solitary animals?
That is a good question. So yes, they are going to be solitary. They're going to meet up if they're going to mate, or they might run into each other when they are in their environments, but they are generally going to be solitary. So Dudley, he lives by himself at the Memphis Zoo, but that's just how he likes it. He likes his quiet time and his private time.
Awesome. Wendy asks, do skinks get along with other animals like doggos?
That is a good question. So it would probably depend on the skink. So if you got a skink as a pet, again, if you did lots and lots of research and you knew that you could take care of a skink for as long as it was going to be alive, it would probably take a lot of introductions. Because even if we have like animals that we're used to taking care of, like 2 dogs or 2 cats, you have to do a lot of introductions before 2 animals ever meet. So it would probably depend on the dog and the skink. The skink might be a little scared if it's a big dog, since sometimes their predators might be things like dingoes, which are basically big dogs. So it would just kind of depend. You would just have to look and make sure that you're making the right and safe choice for your dog and your skink. Good question.
And Alexandra sent us 150 stars, so thank you, Alexandra.
Thank you so much, Alexandra.
And I'm wondering what your favorite skink fact is.
My favorite
Or
skink
fact about Dudley as an individual.
Favorite facts about skinks. I said a lot of the ones that I think are really cool. I think it's really cool that these guys mimic another kind of animal. Mimicry is really interesting to me in the animal world, and especially given that it seems to work pretty well since these guys are able to keep themselves safe, even though they're not venomous, they're not poisonous. It's very interesting to me. And my favorite facts about Dudley are that some of his favorite foods, he loves bugs and crickets, but he also really loves grapes and corn that he gets in his salads that he gets. So I want to thank everybody again for watching and learning all about the tiny but mighty Dudley the blue-tongued skink. Again, you can donate to the Memphis Zoo through purchasing stars on Facebook or through our emergency animal relief fund. And we will be back tomorrow at 11:30 again with another tiny but mighty animal. Bye, everybody.